Everyone! Time for the Get to the Point review.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Get to the Point Review podcast. I'm your host, Kelly McKinney of Hohenheim Productions.
And I'm your other host, Josh Gibson from Fourth Wall Players.
And this week we are focusing all on side characters that we believe should have had their own spin-offs.
This is true.
Very much so. And literally focusing all around that during this episode. And if you can't tell, we do have brand new sound.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's nice and crisp and clear. And so for our recent movie, we went with the spin-off character of Harley Quinn with Birds of Prey 2020, which is recent for us because we just saw it.
2020 is still good.
It's 2020 was good. It was
Let's
still
face
good.
it,
Still
there
good all year.
hasn't been a lot of movies released yet this year, so
Yeah, no. So it's stepping back to 2020 is just fine. And I hadn't seen it yet. This was an excellent opportunity for us to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what did you think about Birds of Prey?
All right, my Get to the Point review on Birds of Prey was Harley Quinn narrates a few days in her life shortly after breaking it off with the Joker. She tears up the city fighting a mob boss. There's also another 3 chicks that form a group in the last 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. That I kept expecting, I kept hearing Jeremy's voice in my head from CinemaSins saying movie takes too long to Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
Pearl blur birds.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it was fun action interrupted by continuous quinneration in this confusing DC installation.
Right.
Because I loved Margot Robbie. I do love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
She's very good as that character, yeah.
And I think the best part about it for me was the action. Some of the action was so well choreographed.
Right.
Like the one where she's got the smoke grenade launcher or whatever when she's coming into the police station.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. That was
amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a really good
I was
one.
really kind of disappointed, not so much with what he did with it, but what they did with Ewan McGregor's character.
Yeah, no. I thought Ewan McGregor did a great job.
Right.
But I was it was interesting because he was scary-ish, right? But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't feel it like they wanted me to. You know what I mean? I don't think I've
on a side note, I don't think I've ever seen a Ewan McGregor movie where I went out of it being like, man, his character was really underdone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, what's nice for me is every single time I see Owen McGregor, he's not anyone else he's been in his other movies. You know what I mean? I don't see Jedi. I don't see Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, he always plays different, very differentiated characters. That didn't stop recording, did it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Nope. And so when we took a look, we always take a look at a recent review. This time we chose the one in Variety by Owen Gleiberman. And what I said is, I basically, reading this review, thank you for the review, by the way, Owen, but I really missed the feminism vibe on account of that 2 of the female characters define themselves via the men in their lives. And also, I missed the point that violence is feminism.
Yeah.
Right? Just violence is feminism, because when a man does it, it's now toxic masculinity.
Right.
So, what I have to really say about this review is good review, but let a movie be a movie instead of a political stance. Because I just see that a lot. Everything has to be how is it taken politically? It's how was it enjoyed as a movie? Because in his praise of its feminism, which again I missed, just being an all-female cast doesn't make it a feminism movie,
right?
In my opinion.
Well, it is about. I mean, I guess I could see a little bit of it because it's all about Harley Quinn, kind of finding her independence from the Joker, and that's a little feminist, right? Right? Maybe I don't understand feminism.
If she successfully does so, I mean.
But yeah, that's the point though, because she's gonna once they make a Joker movie or whatever, they're gonna end up back together.
They have to bring back Margot Robbie for it, for sure. So so despite all that, I just miss the feminism touches. So why make the review about feminism? Make it about the movie,
right?
And about the story, because
you wanted to score some points,
right? Because in his praise of it, he missed all of the problems with the movie. Like, this was pretty much a completely positive. There was only like one sentence where he was like, where it doesn't have such and such, it makes up for, and it's like, no, talk about the such and such. Please, let's talk about the such and such.
And my get to the point review on Mr. Gleiberman here. I thought he was absolutely on point about Robbie. Unfortunately, he failed to mention the campy, in a cool way, villain, Ewan McGregor, and how Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress could have stolen the show with more screen time. I thought out of the Birds of Prey characters, she was the only interesting one.
I thought it was far. Because even with the Black Canary, right? Like, she plays too mysterious for me to care.
Right.
Like, we don't actually get enough into who her character is to care about why she's so mysterious and closed off, right? And then the Huntress was like one of the best played jokes of the film. Like, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
she was fantastic.
If we were talking about side characters that need a spinoff, I'd choose Huntress. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Is that a preview of things to come? Or
no, it's not.
Okay.
No, but I thought about it, and I was like, I don't want to have the movie we just listed in, but literally that would be the same way that they're going to do it with like John Cena's character from the new Suicide Squad. Like, it could be a very funny like side spinoff. It really
because
could.
she like clearly doesn't understand, or she's too traumatized to pay attention to like social norms. So it's like interesting watching her like interact with other people. Yeah. And it's just like she doesn't know what to do. It's really funny.
So many of the jokes in this movie fell flat for me. So the times that I did laugh, like, really stuck out in my mind.
Right.
And when she comes down the slide stabbing that guy, and Harley Quinn's like, "You're so badass." I died laughing. That was great. That was perfect. That was a good one for sure. And so, wrapping up talking about Birds of Prey brings us straight into side characters that deserve a spinoff. And apparently, I've got 5 movies and you've got 5 TV shows?
I've got 5 TV shows.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so then we go. 5 TV shows that have side characters that deserve a spinoff, and 5 movies. Yeah, I was just checking, just making sure. Like, yes, I did. I have 5 movies.
Because in case you guys have not heard about my Rona review, like, I've watched a lot of TV the last year and a half, so I definitely had plenty to choose from.
Right, okay. Well, then why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
My first get to the point review on a side character who deserves his own spinoff is Hurley from Lost. I know we get snippets of his time protecting the island, but I would love to see a Hurley spinoff post-Lost to see if things are still just unlucky for him. Like, the whole running joke with Hurley in the real world was after he ran the numbers on the lottery, just everything was bad for him. Like, he'd won, like, millions of dollars, but, like, his family members started dying, just, like, a whole bunch of crazy stuff, because he uses the numbers, which were considered unlucky by the island. I just think it'd be a funny, like, kind of sitcom sort of thing, That was my thought on that.
I think it's interesting that you're going to find that both of us, with all of our spinoffs, went with, like, it should be a comedy. It should be a comedy. It should be a comedy.
Right.
Because I went with... my first pick was The Devil's Advocate.
Okay,
from 1997. And specifically, the character of Juror Number 6. Okay.
In The Devil's Advocate?
In The Devil's Advocate. It's side characters, and I mean really obscure side characters. People that you have to go back now and rewatch the movie.
I don't even know who you're
and be like,
about.
who's Juror Number 6? Okay, well... For those of you who don't know the movie, it's basically Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves. They play lawyers in a legal twist on the thriller genre. It's definitely one of my favorite movies.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I really like it. But I basically chose Juror 6 because the backstory that Keanu Reeves' character delivers on her is kind of it's astounding when you think about it. Like, when you think about what brought her to this moment, because he says that she wants that someone hurt her, and that she wants on this jury,
right? Because
she wants revenge. Okay, so you've got a Catholic school teacher who was hurt, And it all leads up to this moment of revenge on a jury
Yeah.
pertaining to Banks. What the hell happened to this woman that led
That's
all the way up?
interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
right? You know, I don't care if it's just like a little, it could be a short. Just tell us what the hell is going on with this woman. It sounds like it'd be a Lifetime special, but
Right.
like, good Lord, juror number 6. What is wrong with you, woman?
Yeah. What happened? Who hurt you?
It's all leading up to this. And then she gets passed off anyways. She doesn't end up on the
Yeah.
jury. So, like, I could just picture this long movie all leading up to this jury position, and then you have whiz kid Keanu Reeves is like, "Nah, I can tell you're hurt.
Right.
Like, you're not on the jury."
Right.
Like, oh, good Lord.
And then she goes and puts a shotgun in her mouth.
It'd be a crushing story.
It would be.
Crushing story. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So my next one, and I just watched the show, so it's over. I'm done watching it now, so I won't be mentioning it too much more probably. Chibs from Sons of Anarchy. Unfortunately, Opie is dead. So Chibs is the next most interesting character on the show. Let's see him get Sam Crow legitimate and reunite with his family, because they kind of had the whole thing with his family, season 3, and
Yeah,
then they
in
just
Ireland.
just dropped the whole storyline.
I think it's just more of that it's because there was nothing, but I agree. Chibs is
But
definitely,
that always confused me though, because like the way they explained it in the story, the reason they were separated was because of Jimmy O,
yeah.
and then they killed Jimmy O. So
Right.
anyway, I would like to see that. I want to see Tommy Flanagan and everything.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
I love him.
Especially those last couple seasons where they actually give him stuff to do. I mean, he's awesome the entire time, but
There are a lot of. I mean, this was part of the reason why I didn't choose TV show.
Yeah.
Because there are so many side characters.
right. Well,
that-
fortunately, at Sons of Anarchy, most of them are dead.
Well, yeah. No, this is true. Yes. Yeah. This is true. Most of them are dead. Yeah. And-
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Let's see. Do I have? Nope. There was no natural segue. Nope. From people being dead to my next one. All right. So, I mean, sort of.
What about people being Irish? Is there a segue there?
Could be. It would take too long for me to think of
Okay.
it. All right. So my next choice is Fight Club,
Oh,
1991, and it's the lady on the plane.
the lady on the plane.
Again, another obscure side character. So when he's explaining the formula for the car company that he works for
Yeah.
on whether or not they issue a recall,
Mm.
he doesn't tell her what car company he works for.
Right.
He just says a major one.
Yeah.
And she's just left. So basically, she now has to either just categorize this info as given to her from the ramblings of a madman,
Mhm.
or be scared for the rest of her life of buying the wrong car
Right.
that could explode on her.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be funny to do
I think,
like a little.
I think it's Hyundai,
a little, maybe, yeah.
because I've gotten a recall about my Hyundai a couple of years ago about like the engines randomly setting on fire, and I know like more recent ones have had the same issue. So
What Toyota had one a couple of years back,
Yeah.
where the starter would start on fire, would catch fire, and Kia had one for
Yeah.
with the the Sedona.
So it's
We
all
had
of
to
them.
Get that one taken
Okay.
in. Yeah, so it's all. They all have recalls, and I'm sure they all have less than savory practices.
Well,
as far as
usually
whether
it's
they
recalls
decide.
like, the friggin' airbag won't go off or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, right.
And when you see it's like, oh, your car is going to catch on fire.
Well, I mean, and with Fight Club and with the movie, they had to make it as
Yeah.
extreme as
Yeah.
possible, And so, for those of you who haven't seen Fight Club, 1999, first of all, get a life. Second of all, one of the best uses of narration in a super memorable Brad Pitt movie,
Mhm.
where we assume Helena Bonham played herself.
Yeah. Just played herself.
Or she just
didn't
played
even know
herself.
she was in a movie.
She didn't. She had no idea she was in a movie. When she saw it in theater, she was like, "What?" Yeah.
What was that line she has? Like, that was the best sex she's had since like
I've
7th
been
grade
fucked
or
like
something.
that since grade school.
Yeah, I've been fucked like that since grade
Yep,
school.
that's the line. That's the famous line.
What
I haven't
a
been
weird
fucked
thing
like
to
that
say.
since grade school. And Brad Pitt's just like, oh yeah. So yeah, another super obscure side character. I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. It's the black lady on the
Yeah.
plane that he's talking
This is
to.
probably the most obscure. It's not nearly as obscure as his side character I have on my list, but Craig from Doctor Who. James Corden did an incredible job as bumbling roommate who just wanted and got the girl next door. They had a baby named Alfie, or for the more enlightened, Stormageddon, Dark Lord of all. And that family sitcom would write itself, I think. So like, basically, their baby had like like dimensional powers or something at
So
some
it's
point.
it's just a different twist on WandaVision,
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
but from a sitcom.
But yeah, it
sitcom
was like
perspective.
he was in 2 different episodes. One of them was like when the doctor was going undercover and he needed a roommate, so he moved in with Craig. And he was like, "Why are you so weird about everything?" And then he had another one where they had the baby and like, aliens wanted to take the baby and take over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely lends itself to sitcom scripts.
Right. Yeah.
Probably more like in the 80s, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where they would just like decided to go crazy with it.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Right.
matter.
I was thinking like All in the Family style.
Right. All right. Well, my next pick, I think I might have mentioned this movie before. It might have actually been in the very first episode, because I love this movie. I love this movie to death. So I think I had reviewed it for a note of brilliance, and I like the background score for it a whole lot.
Mhm.
There just wasn't a moment where the score is
Like
what
a
made it
single
brilliant.
moment, yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
That
and
magic moment.
there wasn't one
Yeah.
stuff. It's like one of those times when, like, a movie that Hans Zimmer, does the background music for. It's like, well, that score's great and it's
Right.
used in great movies,
Right.
but those are very obvious great
Mhm.
moments, and that's not what Note of Brilliance is about. But I went with The Weatherman, 2005.
Yeah, I think you did mention that one.
I have.
think you're
I'm
right.
pretty sure this is the only one I've done
We should
basically
give
a
a
second
list of
time.
the ones we mentioned.
I do. I have a list.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't.
But it's because of how I was mentioning this one. So the obscure side character that I think should have a spinoff, again, would be a comedy series, is the kid cashier at Arby's that
Okay.
refuses to give him a quarter back for his coffee so he can get a paper for his dad. And so if you haven't seen The Weatherman, it's Nicolas Cage plays a self-absorbed weatherman who is constantly in his own head as he navigates a divorce and a career change. And so that kid at Arby's, I just picture him as like the dumb asshole in a group of kids that are constantly getting into like shenanigans. Like a bunch of stoners, and he's always just the asshole. So like he would always be in the customer service situations
Right.
just because he's such a dry asshole. And yeah, super obscure side character. But yeah, like what possessed him to be such a dick? Other than it was written in the script like that.
Probably he'd get fired if he gave it back or something. That's how a lot of retail stores work.
This was Arby's.
Oh, okay, fine. Restaurant. It's the same thing as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
At least how they're run anyway.
Right.
All right, so my next one would be Claire Temple from the Marvel Netflix shows. So Daredevil and whatnot. A Grey's Anatomy for the superhero world. Claire Temple must have an insane personal life. Plus, Rosario Dawson deserves all the roles.
Yeah. It's interesting because my last two choices,
Yeah.
I think either one of those fit like a similar sort
Yeah.
of thing going on
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Because interesting, I haven't watched any of the Marvel spin-off shows except for, I guess, the 4 Defenders ones.
Ugh,
And
it's
not
like the worst ones.
not
too.
counting Daredevil. It had too much hype for me to like get
Well,
into
the hype's
Daredevil.
died down, so go
Definitely,
watch it
I can
now.
go ahead and watch Daredevil now. Thanks for
Yeah.
giving me the go
Daredevil and Punisher are definitely the 2 best.
Yeah. Yep.
Jessica Jones has a good first season, and then it
Jessica
kind of
Jones
goes
does
downhill.
have a good first season. Yeah. Well, I mean, like for me, the first episode of Jessica Jones is just like the all-time high, and then from there it just kind of goes,
Like, I really like David Tennant as Kilgrave, and then after that, like, she fights her mom and then her best friend in the other seasons, so it's like, that's dumb.
Yeah. And I'm not sure we can hear you when you talk that low.
Oh, I saw it flashing.
Oh, I looked and it wasn't flashing. I must have just looked at the wrong time. All right. Well, my next one, I actually think I have talked about this film again already. Reign Over Me, 2007.
Rain over me. Yeah.
Yeah. The tragedy of 9/11 brings one of Sandler's early opportunities to show his dramatic side to light. And I chose the side character of Nigel, which Nigel is the psychiatrist that they meet in the record store and go out to lunch with.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's because Nigel's character still gives off Q vibes from Star Trek The Next Generation. So, like, giving him a spinoff makes sense.
Yeah.
There's not enough episodic dramas or dark comedies about psychiatrists who actually need help themselves. And I mean, this guy, he got called out in a diner, saying that he'd get his ass kicked at a Bob Seger concert. His life has to be miserable. And not only that, but who doesn't love Q? I love him so much in everything he freaking does.
Yeah.
So I just because he always deserves more screen time.
Mm-hmm. He's a good actor. Like he was in Stargate SG-1 too, and he was really good on that too.
He's fantastic. And so I'd just love to see him playing a psychiatrist in like a dramatic or dark comedy type role where like just super shitty things keep happening to him. Yeah.
Right. So my last one is John Jones from Supergirl. Such a dynamic character on a subpar show. It started good, it got bad. Don't argue with me. Being relegated to advisor in the later seasons severely diminishes the rich backstory of this Martian. Let's see a series where he returns to Mars and helps liberate his homeworld.
That would be interesting.
That would be awesome.
I still haven't seen that one, Supergirl.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have much to say.
saying, well, you can wait, is what you're basically saying.
Part
you
of it
can
is...
wait.
Part of what a lot of people's issues with it is like starting on season 3 or 4, they start doing entire season-long arcs of some sort of political message. So, like season 4 specifically is about xenophobia and racism. And whereas they have some good episodes in it, and actually, the guy who plays the main bad guy, like, does not do a bad job. Like, he's actually a really good actor in that. He also was in Smallville, so he was in both Superman. Anyway, so, but yeah, so he was pretty good, but, like, a lot of it was just, people were like, well, are they right? And it's like, well, of course they're not right. What are you guys talking about? This is the most insane thing I've ever seen. Like, Supergirl literally saves you guys, like, on the daily, and you're just like, I don't know if I could trust aliens. So,
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
And it's just because Supergirl looks like us that we don't recognize her as an alien right away.
And they actually go into that,
bullshit.
too.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a really good allegory for racism in America, too.
Right.
They just can't outright say it.
Well, my last one is sort of a stretch.
Okay.
Also, not like the other ones haven't
Not like
been
the
a
other
stretch.
ones.
Not like the other ones, which were definitely needed. Okay. But and I struggle with this one because I was debating on whether I should save it for like our Western episode, but I'm such a huge Western fan. Like, I'll have 5 Westerns, no problem.
Boy.
Like,
I hope I'll have 5.
it won't be a problem for me. I'll have 5 Westerns.
Does Galaxy Quest count as a Western? No. I'm just kidding.
You can just list Quigley down under 5 times. But okay, I chose Appaloosa 2008.
Okay.
Because it's not actually. I mean, it's got a great cast. Okay, and there's great chemistry in an okay Western. Okay, it's not great, but the parts of it that I love, I do love. I love the parts that I love of it. And it's basically the side character that I feel deserves a spinoff is Sheriff Clyde Stringer, okay, who was played by Rex Linn. And it's because, like, especially in the scenes that he has in the movie, he's traveling around with this judge. Him and his deputy are traveling around with a judge from case to case, where this judge is just presiding over different, like, court cases in the West.
Yeah.
But in this particular scene, the one that I'm talking about from Appaloosa, his first scene where we meet him, we've got Ed Harris. Ed Harris's character is having trouble coming up with the word sequestered. And the look on his face as he's like, I didn't care that you used the word. Like, I don't care what word you use. I think it would be funny if people are constantly throwing big words he doesn't understand at him. And he just has that puzzled look all the time, 24/7. And then has to shoot some people here and then, because it's a Western. So you've got this old crockety judge who doesn't believe anybody. Everybody's guilty, which causes some troubles. It would be episodic and definitely a comedy. And kind of ridiculous.
Definitely a comedy.
And kind of ridiculous. Yeah, definitely a comedy. Yeah. But yeah, and so that wraps up our 2 lists, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, and so I am also curious for those of you that do listen to the podcast what some of your favorite side characters are. You can always link up with us on Facebook or even on YouTube.
Put it in the comments.
And put it in the comments below, as well as on the webpage. We do allow comments on the blog posts over the podcast. And in closing, if geek is the new chic, shouldn't that flow into your coffee drinking game as well? The selection of vintage, geeky, and cheeky mugs can be found on eBay, fulfilling occasions from fool to cool. To see our selection of mugs, click on the link in the description below to aid in an expressive drinking experience.
And looking to start a podcast? Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. With Buzzsprout, you'll get a great-looking website, audio players you can drop, detailed analytics, tools to promote. Oh, that's tools. Tools to promote and more. Sorry, I couldn't read the...
The S is too close to
Following the link in the show notes, lets Buzzsprout know we sent you. Get you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan and help support our show. Let's create something great together with Buzzsprout.
And we do apologize for any lags. We're both feeling under the weather and rather overwhelmed with our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of the Get to the Point
and
Review
better
podcast.
than ever, because like a saying, after we get knocked down, we come back twice as strong.
Oh, you missed a Chumbawamba opportunity there.
Oh, no. Okay, fair enough.
Get to the point.